Welcome to part 2 of this module. If you haven't already, feel free to download the steps of the exercise to make it easier to follow along with your own situation. Enjoy.
Let's switch gears and
Okay.
why don't we do an exercise?
All righty. 4 parts again.
Oh,
Are you ready?
I am ready, Michael. Let's do this.
Number 1, think of your most prevalent ego. What sets your ego off the most? Are you too self-denigrating? Do you struggle when others challenge what you were saying? Or is there some other situation that gets your ego cranked up where you want to defend and protect your ego or self-identity at all costs? Number 2, identify someone or ones that you trust that are likely to be around you when you are ego-ridden. If you can't think of anyone, consider how you might get to know someone likely to be around so that you might be willing to build a relationship with you so that you can contract with them for this. Number 3, if you are able to identify somebody, what will you ask them to do for you? And when will you ask them to do it? Number 4, if you weren't able to identify someone, who will be the person you will get to know better so that you might come to trust them with such a contract? Again, this exercise, like all the others, are on a handout, a PDF that you can download if you already have it. So, Ronnie, how are you doing with those 4 questions?
I'm good.
Well, let's hear what you came up with.
Yeah. So on the first one, when I would say that the biggest issue that I have is when I perceive a lack of self-respect. And then I get very protective. So I get kind of like, I guess I get more into the big ego piece of things. Like, who are you not to include me in this decision? So I don't know if that's a big ego or small ego, but basically
It's a big ego.
Yeah. So it's when I perceive a lack of respect. When I'm not
Okay.
when no one I'm not included or invited or consulted.
Okay. It sounded different from what you just first said, but now it makes sense that it's when you don't feel respected. That's when your ego will rear its head.
That's right.
Got it.
And so I'm not reacting in a self-denigrating manner. I'm reacting by becoming bigger.
Right. And wanting to put them down.
Yes.
Yes.
And so then the second part, you said, identify someone you trust who's likely to be around when this is happening. Yeah, I've identified someone in this particular relationship or group that I'm in that would be able to do that for me. And
so what would you ask them for?
What will I ask them for?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think it's like, I think I would ask them for that when they hear in my voice that I'm getting too pushy, I think is the word I would use, are too pointed in my questions, that they ping me and say, hey, take it down a notch. I think that's probably the best thing to do in that situation.
So ping you. Okay. So what are they doing to ping you? What is the
instant message. So there's a conversation going on, like we're having via.
Okay.
And then that it's an opportunity. They can actually just send me a note on the side via text message.
Super.
Yeah. And so that's what I was asking them to do.
Suppose it's an in-person meeting.
They should kick me under the table, clearly. No.
Ouch.
Ouch. I think that that would be a little bit harder to do. I don't know what I would ask them for. Do you have any suggestions?
Well, it's something for you to think about because your hesitancy could be from kind of a reluctance for your ego to be on display in front of others, that you don't want to see your ego. Am I on target about that?
Uh, I would say that the issue is more that when I'm in a meeting with a group of people that I'm helping with, that um, I would have to have an agreement with everyone in that meeting in order for us to be more verbally clear, like have someone shout out ego or whatever. I don't envision that happening in a meeting because it would require agreement with people that I don't meet with on a regular basis.
Okay, so here's an idea that I've used.
Okay.
My contract with my client is that if he sees me going off on my ego, that he can say to me, ego, even in front of a group, and that I can say the same thing to him so that we can even model that in front of the group. The key is that it's about my relationship with my client. And if I've done that well to build a healthy relationship with him or her, then since I know, that uh, my ego is not perfect for sure. In a group setting, somebody can be kind of really slow to catch on to what we're doing, and I can get impatient. And he or she can say ego, and that'll remind me to take a breath and refocus myself.
Yeah, I think that's, to be honest, this is the hardest thing for me to do because it requires me to be vulnerable and trust the other people in the room. Uh, so I'm a little challenged in that, but I'll work on it.
Yes, it's so perfect because it's about contracting for the quality of relation that we need so that we can contract for ego management. So your example just fits so perfectly for this course. Thank you for being willing to share it.
Yeah, no problem, Michael. But I think I have that raises another question for me, which is maybe a little off topic here. But what if I don't want to put the energy into contracting with these people?
Oh,
Like
well,
I don't. What I'm essentially saying is I don't want a relationship with them.
well, then you don't want to work with them because if you're going to work with them, you have a relationship.
Okie dokie, that solves that. Thank you.
You know, sometimes you do ask nice, easy questions, and I appreciate those.
Yeah, I don't always like the answer.
Well, that's true too.
All right. So let's close out this module. Do you have any final words for us around contracting? This is the third in the series of our contracting modules, and the last one. Or do you have any final words for us around contracting and specifically contracting for ego management?
Sure. Too often we think too little about building the agreements that we need that will improve vastly the probability of successful projects, be it a team project, be it an organizational project. The more time and attention we take for effective contracting around where are we going, how are we going to go there, who's going to do what, the more time we take to contract for straight talk, good feedback, listening skills, great communication, the more likely our projects will be a success. The more willing we are to contract for help with managing our dear little egos, the less likely our egos will get in the way of effective projects. So this module concludes the course, The Three Secrets of Building Agreements for Success.
So this concludes our module in our course on contracting. And I would just like to say, if you have any questions, please go to the online forum and Michael will be there to help answer them. And so at this point, Michael, I'd like to say goodbye.
Goodbye, Ronnie. You take care.